Hey everyone, just I'm gonna wait for the audio to start, and then there's gonna be a slight delay. I'll explain why, but first I have to wait for it. There's always a huge delay on YouTube. So, hey everyone, okay, the audio is working. So I'm just gonna go away for a couple of minutes, and the reason is I just need to make my medicine. I wanted to do it earlier, but my health condition changes by the minute sometimes. So anyway, I'll be right back. It's just kind of a tea mixture thing. Okay, if you're just joining the show, if you're watching live, like I said just a second ago, I'm just making my medicine thing. So it's just needs to the water needs to boil and stuff. In the meantime, I'm gonna finish setting up Facebook and stuff like that. So anyway, just bear with me for a few minutes. More. There we go. And so the final thing is the light. That's too much. Yeah, something like that. This is from here, so a little bit stronger. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this thing's so annoying here. I said go away. Go away. Gio. I'm happy you come to me, but not when I'm working. Okay, so guys, again, if you're watching live, thanks for joining me. It's good anyway for people to leave time for some people to drop by. I'm just waiting for my medicine to, or the water to finish boiling so I can make my tea thing. After that, I will start first an intro and then the show itself. Just thank you for your patience. Okay, there's like a big gap here. I don't see it in the camera for some reason. Alright, anyway, so at least let's put this on. Seem better. Is it doing anything? Very big delay on YouTube. Okay, so around here. Yep, that's acceptable. Well, now I'm not gonna move anymore. I hope. Anyway, so thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. Just give me a moment. Well, now I need to actually take my medicine. This is a disgusting thing. Actually, while it's cooling down a little bit, I'm gonna start the Facebook Live thing. So I had a problem with the audio once, and I had to use the Facebook file in the end, which wasn't great either, but it's a good idea to have a backup, because usually I do this for an hour, and then if it's all gone, then I wasted my entire time preparing and doing the whole thing. If I have some kind of backup, then it's better. All right, so episode 47 live. Okay, so we're doing a live video, and it can start. Okay, so that's on as well. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna finish my medicine at last. So this is important, actually. Again, you know, some people drop by my page just and read one post, usually the latest one, right? And they don't read anything else at all on the page, and they think that they know me. This is a common fallacy on the internet these days. You just go to a person's profile and you see the first post, and you kind of make your entire judgment of a person based on that first post. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it can work like that. But usually you need a little bit more depth. And I think my page has a lot of content, has a lot of depth in it. Okay, I don't understand which side this hair is coming from. This side. Okay, got it. So, like I said, I'm very sick, so I don't have time to deal with people's nonsense. And I'll just talk about that briefly after I finish taking this disgusting medicine. This wasn't planned, but my health changes every minute, so I can't predict these things. This is really disgusting. They used to make it better, and now they changed the formula, and now it's absolutely disgusting. Just give me a moment. Shit! No, I swear to God, this cat is gonna be the end of me. I told you to leave me alone. Is it so difficult? Just 1 hour a day I'm asking for peace. Apparently, that's too much. What did I do to deserve this? I honestly wonder sometimes. All right. Okay, that's done. That's gonna work. Okay, so first of all, before I jump into the show, I'd like to address some of the comments I got on the last show, which was about conspiracy theories, and I'll just do it very quickly and in a nutshell. Just so you know that I don't want to deal with people's nonsense, okay? I don't have any time or health condition to do this type of thing. Also, the other important thing is I already did all of that stuff, okay? I already talked to a bunch of crazy people. I know their opinion, I know their claims, and I know their so-called evidence. It is really unconvincing and not interesting, really boring, and it's always the same crap. It's always just the same regurgitated bullshit that I hear over and over again. So no, I don't have time, and I don't want to give those people airtime on my page, and I really don't have to listen to them because I already heard all those arguments. So let's just go from the beginning here, if the page would be so kind to load. So the ones, let's see. Okay, so for example, this one, it says, these reasoned skeptics recognize that they're not willing to buy into most things without being able to corroborate them personally. Yeah, but I'm not talking about skeptics. I'm talking about conspiracy theorists. I hope, oh gosh, I hope that the skeptic community today is not the same as a conspiracy theory community. I really hope that's not the case. If it is, I might have to stop promoting the page to skeptics because, man, if that's what it's become, then sorry, there's really no space for that on my page. So yeah, skepticism is good. I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is that the other kind of edge of it, which is the fringe, the conspiracy theory end, yeah, that's, this guy says that he's talked to many. I really doubt it. I have to, everything that people post on my page, I have to take it on faith. So I don't know if this person is telling the truth or not. And honestly, I don't really care. There was another one, but I don't know. Oh yeah, this guy says 9/11 is an inside job. Do you really think that I'm gonna keep that on my page? I mean, again, a lot of these people come to my page and they think that maybe I'm new to this. I just kind of starting the show, or I'm just starting to explore these things. Nonsense. I already spent years looking at flat earth arguments, the moon hoax arguments, 9/11 thing, anti-vaccine thing. That's what I said on my last show. You need to at least look, because then you know actually what it's about. If you just otherwise it's like saying, hey, I don't know, the Avengers Endgame is bad. I haven't seen it, but it's bad. You have to at least watch something of it, at least the trailer, I guess, but preferably the whole thing, and then you can say, you can state your opinion and actually write a review about it. So what happens, of course, with movies these days is on IMDb, which is a major website for movies, people can leave a review without having watched the movie. So I see it all the time. Oh, I don't like this Al Gore guy, for example, so I'm gonna rate the movie down. I haven't watched it, but I hate the guy. So sorry, I'm gonna rate it down. Absolute bullshit, and IMDb allows it, unfortunately. So they shouldn't. They really shouldn't, but they do. So just a couple more here. How to talk to a theorist hypothetically, respectfully, and honestly. Yeah, but these things live in like a different universe, man. It's really not like a fair conversation usually. So you have to lower yourself to their level, and I'm not gonna do that. They have every right to feel that way or believe and think that way. Even a rational person can emphasize with their thoughts. Yeah, sure, they have the right. You have the right. You have the freedom of speech, whatever. But again, I'm not really interested because I'm not given any evidence. So that's the thing. Coincidence theory, so much more sciencey. That's yes, actually, yes. So these people try to find some kind of, they connect the dots where. I mean, I can also do that. I can also connect dots, but again, without evidence, without facts, without data, I can connect dots all day long, but what's the point? So I just wanted to address that. I'm not new to this. I've seen all these arguments. They're all the same. They repeat. After you've seen them the first time, it's going to be the same the second time and the third time, fourth time, etc. It's always the same thing. So, nothing new. If it's new, then please show me something I'd like to see. Then we'll talk about it. But if it's the same stuff again that's been debunked by many other people, I wasted my time debating these people. I've seen other people much more intelligent than me debating these people. At the end of the day, we're just all wasting our time, and we could be doing something better. That's my conclusion. All right. On that note, I have a very annoying pop-up on my phone, so that's gone. All right. If you want to chat about something, do leave a message. I'll keep an eye on it during the show. It's a bit tricky, but I will try. And so today, I'm going to be talking about the influence of banks, big banks mostly, on climate change. So why don't we start, since I'm pretty warmed up by now. It's May the 10th. All right, good. So 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, and welcome to another interesting episode of Age of Reason. Today is May the 10th, 2019. I'm JC, and today I'm going to be talking about the influence of banks on fossil fuel industries. So let me explain what I mean precisely. So this is what's going on basically. Global banks led by JP Morgan Chase invested $1.9 trillion in fossil fuels since Paris Climate Pact. I don't remember the precise source of this thing. It says here DeSmog UK, but I don't know what that is. But it was reposted by Skeptical Science, and that I know that it's by John Cook, so it's at least vetted. And this was written by Sharon Kelly. I wish that picture had some kind of information because we don't really know what it represents. I'm just seeing a little gap here, so I'm going to close it. I'm just going to redo that last part so we don't have to cut the screen. So I wish that picture had some kind of caption because we don't really know what it's showing at all. We just see some kind of flooded area, but where is it? I'd like to know. The top 4 banks that invested... Oh, I see. Okay. I forgot to move this thing. That's why it looks a bit odd. All right, give me a second. That's what happens, man. You start taking medicine and stuff, and then you forget to do some stuff. All right. Okay, now that feels better. Okay. The top 4 banks that invested most heavily in fossil fuel projects are all based in the US. Surprise, surprise. And they include JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, and Bank of America. Royal Bank of Canada, Barclays in Europe, Japan's MUFG, which is Mizuho Bank, I think, TD Bank, Scotiabank, and Mizuho. So MUFG is something else. Make up the remainder of the top 10. This report comes as March has already brought deadly weather to places such as the American Midwest, where historic flooding has left 4 dead and farm losses could reach $1 billion. And Mozambique, which I mentioned on the previous show, where the cyclone Idai has devastated the East African country, and there were at least 1,000 people dead. Both disasters have been linked to climate change. Increased flooding is one of the clearest signals of a climate changing, said 350.org co-founder Bill McKibben in a statement published by Think Progress, adding that flooded Nebraska's current trauma is part of everyone's future. And that's definitely true. I live in an area where I live a bit in the hills, so I'll be safe for a while. But the area directly under the hill they have measurements here actually. So because Japan is prone to tsunamis, so people have to know where to go if there is a big wave coming. So they need to be able to look around quickly and see, because you can't judge otherwise. You have to see how high they are on the ground. So they have indications here on, lamp posts, etc. So you can see the height at that point. And a lot of the points here nearby are, yeah, really just ridiculously low, like 1 meter, 2 meters, something like that. So these areas are very prone to be flooded in the future, and that's true for everywhere in the world if you have this type of elevation. One inescapable finding of this report is that JP Morgan Chase is very clearly the world's worst banker of climate change. The report titled Banking on Climate Change found the race was not even close. The $196 billion the bank poured into fossil fuels between 2016 and 2018 is nearly a third higher than the second worst bank, Wells Fargo. I really hope that people are not with these banks. If I was, I'd probably move to some other account. A half dozen environmental groups, Rainforest Action Network, Bank Track, Sierra Club, Oil Change International, Indigenous Environmental Network, and Honor the Earth authored the 2019 report, which was endorsed by 160 organizations worldwide. It tracked the financing for 1,800 companies involved in extracting, transporting, burning, or storing fossil fuels or fossil-generated electricity, and examined the roles played by banks worldwide. Okay, so the global snapshot of fossil sector finance. Past report cards by the groups have focused only on coal or on extreme fossil fuel projects like tar sands extraction. That's Canadian mostly. Ultra-deep water oil drilling and coal mining and power generation. 2019's report card expands for the first time to cover the fossil fuel sector as a whole. So of course, yeah, it's not just the coal mines, it's the fracking industry. Fracking is not a great solution either because of methane leaks. Okay, so this picture, I'm going to move a little bit. So this actually shows a lot of banks in a graph, and you can see them spending by year and then a total expenditure. So of course, like the article says, JP Morgan Chase is at the top quite clearly. But I just want to make this bigger for a second. Okay, actually that's good. I can use that. Okay, so if you look at the picture, you can see a lot of banks, and I'm sad to say, but I was actually with 3 of these banks through my entire life. So I was with HSBC, and I was with Skank of America, unfortunately, and Scotiabank in Canada. They're all up there, and it's really frustrating that they keep doing that. I mean, people, I don't know, I never was a big fan of banks. I don't know about you, but I never saw banksters as my friends. Okay, we put money in the bank and they guard it there, and they charge for that, and that's fair. And then they came up with new things, like for example credit cards. And hey, if you don't have a certain amount in the bank account, then we're going to charge you for that. What? That is ridiculous. That is like theft, actually. I had a very small account in Switzerland before. I don't know, there were maybe 600, 700 bucks in there. I didn't really touch it for a while, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. A few years later, I check, and the account is gone. They didn't even tell me about it. They just dried it every month because, I was under that minimum amount, and they just kept drying it every month. They kept charging it, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks a month, just because I don't have enough money there. That is absolutely unbelievable. So banksters are not friends, and they are not friends of the environment. That is for sure. This year's report card also dived deep into lending to shale oil and gas companies for the first time, finding that Wells Fargo and JP are the biggest bankers of fracking overall. And in particular, they support key companies active in the Permian Basin, the epicenter of the climate threatening global surge of oil and gas production. JP also provided the most financing to LNG projects, Arctic oil and gas projects, and ultra deep water oil and gas extraction, the report concluded. The Royal Bank of Canada topped the list on tar sands oil financing. So, yeah, I mean, look, the Arctic is unfortunately the next big battleground for fossil fuels. Now, I don't want it to happen. I think most people don't want it to happen, but me, what voice do I have really in this debate? What chance do I have to fight against a huge bank or a huge politician that takes basically bribes of hundreds of thousands of dollars? How can I compete with that? I have no idea. All I can do on the show is basically to make people aware that yes, politicians are getting bribed. Climate change is definitely man-made and happening, very much happening. I can only educate people and try to present the facts, but beyond that, I'm not really sure what I can do. And I think that's the unfortunate reality for most people out there. There's this kind of desperation, and we want to do something. And some of us do, okay? We change the light bulbs, and we're gonna use some more electricity efficient devices, stuff like that, and that helps. Every little bit helps, but of course, my emission is absolutely tiny compared to a big ass factory just spewing out tons of CO2 every day, or the total amount of cars out there. But it accumulates. I'm guilty as everyone else on this. I also use a car. Sometimes I have to take a bus or use the train. We're all in it, okay? I'm not trying to absolve myself from any guilt. Coal mining finance is dominated by the four major Chinese banks, so there is no surprise here. Led by China Construction Bank and Bank of China, the 2019 report found, adding that Bank of China provided the most financing to coal power projects as well. Since the Paris Agreement, JP has provided 196 billion in finance for fossil fuels. The group wrote 10% of all fossil fuel finance from the 33 major global banks. Let me read that again. So 10% of all fossil fuel finance from the 33 major global banks. A JP, that's funny. So a JP Morgan Chase spokesperson declined to comment. This is 101 classic thing. So we have a report coming out. It makes us look bad, but we are too big to fail. So we're gonna decline to comment. I wish I was in that kind of position of power. Sorry, I just declined to comment. In 2017, JP Morgan Chase pledged to facilitate $200 billion in clean financing through 2025, adding that it has helped finance 18 billion of wind, solar, and geothermal projects between 2003 and 2017. But wait a second, you just spent 196 billion on fossil fuel projects in the past 2 years. And here you proudly announce that you spent 18 billion in a span of basically 15 years? That's 1 billion per year compared to, well, 90 billion yearly on fossil fuels. Come on, you're comparing apples and oranges here. That is a ridiculous statement. It's just, they want to say, but we're doing something good. Come on. Barclays, which offered a total of $109 billion for fossil fuel projects, topped the 2019 reports list of worst in Europe, followed by HSBC. I'm so glad I left HSBC, and it was a struggle. I wish I could reach it. The pile of paper that they kept sending me when I was trying to close my account is ridiculous. Maybe next time. So they spent $77 billion in financing. More money for fossil fuels since the Paris Agreement. Well, the thing about the Paris Agreement is that, look, this is not some kind of great, you know, one size fits all solution. First of all, the problem with all these agreements and the Kyoto Agreement, etc., the big problem with them is that it's very difficult to keep a country accountable. So, okay, let's say just for simplicity's sake, everybody signed the agreement, right? Okay, what if Canada, for example, doesn't reach the objectives? What's going to happen then? Do you honestly think that somebody's going to invade Canada, or uh, what's seriously going to happen? What is the risk that Canada runs by not achieving the goals? And that's the problem. There is no binding solution because it's a sovereign state. Now, sovereignty is a very tricky subject, and that's the big problem of all these agreements. So I don't really buy what, again, they're trying to look good. It's all kind of a big show. Hey, guys, politicians are not your friends, okay? Banksters are not your friends. So they just get together and it's this big show, and a lot of money is spent there, a lot of ad time is spent on that, and they just try to look good. They just try to give an image. Hey guys, we're doing something. See, we're meeting there. I mean, I took time to go there, and I took time to sign that paper. That's all it means, though. There's a lot of things happening in the US at state level, for example, which is not happening at a federal level. So I have perhaps more hope on a state level than a federal level, especially given that our presidency shifts so wildly. There's one thing to go from a kind of corporate system, and Obama is part of that, and Joe Biden is part of that, and Bill Clinton was part of that, deregulating the banks, etc. And then there is a second branch of that, which is taking that element and taking it to an extreme. So this is your George Bushes and the Donald Trumps. And people around the world do not trust us anymore. The US is not a trustworthy trade partner or political partner. We don't have a lot of credibility in the world, and that's unfortunate, but that's the reality. All told, financial backing for fossil fuel projects has grown, not shrunk, each year since the Paris Agreement, the report found. Banks provided $612 billion for fossil projects in 2016, 646 in 2017, and 654 in 2018. So it just keeps growing. That's despite the fact that Article 2 of the Paris Agreement calls for making finance flows consistent with a pathway towards low greenhouse gas emissions and climate-resilient development. And in the run-up to Paris, major banks positioned themselves as supporting a strong global response to climate change. Well, of course they did, because that's where the popular opinion is. So, of course, they will say, guys, we're with you, we're going to help you. But as always, with politicians or banks or these type of institutions, actions are not equal to words. It's just a bunch of promises. It's just vibration of air molecules and nothing more. Scientific research finds that the increasing concentration of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere is warming the planet, posing significant risks to the prosperity and growth of the global economy. JP Bank of America Corp, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan Stanley wrote in 2015 statement, again, this is hilarious, as major financial institutions working with clients and customers around the globe, we have the business opportunity to build a more sustainable, low-carbon economy and the ability to help manage and mitigate these climate-related risks. Okay, again, sounds very nice, but the action is the opposite to the words. The past year has brought increasing awareness of climate-related risks in some financial circles, but banks headquartered in the US and Canada have lagged behind. According to a survey conducted by Boston Common Asset Management in 2018, European banks are far ahead of large banks in the US and Canada in implementing climate-related risk assessments. American Banker reported in January, specifically 80% of European banks surveyed are in some way stress testing their loan and investment portfolios for a 2 degrees Celsius increase in global temperatures, versus just 44% of banks in North America. A report issued last month by US-based Morgan Stanley tallied $650 billion in climate-related disasters over the past 3 years and predicted $54 trillion in damages worldwide by 2040. Chia. Okay, I'm just gonna redo that. Ugh, annoying cats. A report issued last month by US-based Morgan Stanley. Come on, I had that. A report issued last month by US-based Morgan Stanley tallied $650 billion in climate-related disasters over the past 3 years and predicted $54 trillion in damages worldwide by 2040, not that far away. Citing figures from the UN, we expect the physical risks of climate change to become an increasingly important part of the investment debate for 2019, the strategist wrote. Okay, so are you gonna do something about it? Or are you just gonna write pretty words and have some pretty boy politicians dress up in a suit telling you pretty words? That's not good enough at all. The article concludes by the Banking on Climate Change report finds that nonetheless, Morgan Stanley offered fossil fuel companies nearly $20 billion in financing in 2018, a little bit down from the prior year, but overall making it the world's 11th largest financier of fossil fuel projects. Alarming is an understatement, said lead author Alison Kirsch, a Rainforest Action Network researcher. This report is a red alert. Yeah, certainly, of course. So, well, my conclusion is, again, these type of pretty words don't match the action. And I don't know. I honestly don't know anybody except people who work in the bank industry, but I don't know anybody who thinks of a bankster as a friend. They are not your friends. Politicians are also not your friends. They all have an agenda. Most of them have sponsors, and they have to satisfy whoever's paying them. So yeah, essentially, they are bought by some big corporations out there. You just have to follow the money. I said that about Dianne Feinstein the other couple of shows ago. That she has a huge fortune. I mean, come on. There's no way that she can make that just by being in the Senate or whatever. Of course, it comes from investments, and it comes from investments in fossil fuel projects, etc. That's where the money comes from. Okay, on that note, that's all I wanted to cover today, so that's it. And I'd like to just mention my book again, Beyond the Obscure. Please check it out. It's available on Amazon. The link is available in the description below. And also check out my art on Redbubble. I will see you next week, and it'll probably be another article on climate change. I have so many that I'm actually quite far behind now. So until then, all right. Well, that's it for the thing. I will keep it running a little bit, and if people have any kind of questions or comments, feel free to ask. I just, look, I don't do kind of mainstream news, okay? Because there's more than enough people covering those already. So I try to choose stories which don't get much attention I mean, come on, who's going to mention this article? Do you think CNN is going to mention this article? Do you think MSNBC is going to mention this article? They don't have, these people work for a certain goal. It doesn't include saving the planet. I had another article I wanted to cover today, but I was quite busy this week, and the article was very long, so I didn't have time to prepare it. It was a very good article, and it debunked some kind of book on climate denial. So again, some genius out there uh, wrote another book that climate change is not, not human made. So there was an article debunking that book, but it is pretty long. So maybe next week. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, if people provide facts and evidence, that's okay. I mean, again, I'm not. I just want to say I'm not new to this. I study climate change, especially. That would be my number one thing. I study astrophysics as well. That would be my number two thing, I guess. Um, I understand the science because I studied it. A lot of people I talk to, they don't know these type of things. How many people honestly know that, for example, a camera has a gate inside? Honestly. And some people are going to say, well, of course I knew because I just told you about it. Yeah, a camera has a gate. But a lot of people just kind of pick up a device and use it. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand how to build one, that's for sure. Just take it for granted. Take the knowledge for granted. But I'm not like that. I want to understand why things work the way that they work. Okay, I'm gonna end the Facebook thing at this time. So, if people are watching on Facebook, thank you for watching. I hope you found it educational. That's kind of the point of the show. And yeah, keep watching on YouTube for a bit. I'm gonna keep it running. But for Facebook, that's it for now. So I'll see you next time. Okay. Just yeah. Well, I know that I'm doing this in a kind of very awful time because in the US it's basically nighttime, and it's a Friday, so people still need to go to work in the morning. So yeah, I'm aware of that, but this is really, yep, this is really the only time I can do this. So I'm aware that the live is not perhaps super popular, but that's okay. Okay, all right. Okay, well, I think there is no questions on the air. Uh, Hi, A300 Pilot Star. I hope I pronounced your nickname correctly. I was just about to finish, so if you have some kind of question, now's the time to ask. A300, by the way, that's kind of weird. I'm not like a super expert on airplanes, if that's even. I'm guessing that's what it means. I don't know. I'm mostly familiar with the A320. That's the one I would like to use actually next in the flight simulation because I do that too. They have a pretty advanced model of one, so that would be interesting to try. All right, cool. Yeah, that's the thing. I've been so busy and just so many things to study, and I I just don't have time to get back to the flight simulation thing. I really enjoy doing that. It's really a lot of fun. Okay, I'm gonna end it here for this week. Feel free to rewind and watch from the beginning. Of course, there's gonna be an edited version at the sometime next week, probably middle of next week, and probably yeah, next Friday I can do one show. I think. Well, we'll have to see it's based on the temperature outside because man, if it gets too hot outside, it gets really hot inside, and it's just like a disgusting environment to be in. So I'm gonna be sweating and shit. So usually that's why I stop the show in the summer, and also I do need a break. I've been doing this for too long. It's tough on my health, so I do need some time to recover. So usually I take the summer off and I promote some older episodes or whatever, but no new material is created at that time. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and yep, catch you next time.